I'll be reading the Riverton, the History and the Legacy. The history of Riverton runs deep like the rivers. It was built from the blood, the sweat, and the tears of social justice. As World War II veterans returned to the States, Metropolitan Life Insurance Company contracted with the City of New York to develop the Stuyvesant Town residential community. Located on Manhattan's Lower East Side, the complex was set to house 9,000 families, with one caveat: no blacks allowed. According to the New York Times, Frederick Ecker, president of MetLife, publicly stated, "Negroes and whites don't mix. If we brought them into the development, it would be to the detriment of the city." To combat this housing discrimination, three veterans, Joseph Dorsey, Monroe Dowling, and Calvin Harper, filed multiple lawsuits, and thousands of people came together to protest. As 2 million of their policyholders were black, in addition to mounting legal and political pressures, there was a sense of obligation. On September 18th, 1944, MetLife announced a plan to erect a modern, park-like residential community for 1,200 families called Riverton Houses. Riverton would be erected under the Jim Crow ideology of separate but equal. On July 28, 1947, the first chosen residents of the 20,000 applicants moved into 2225 Fifth Avenue, Riverton's first completed building. The first veteran families to move in were Mr. Bruce and Mrs. Constance Wright, Mr. and Mrs. Matthew Faulkner, Mr. and Mrs. Emmett Smith. Mr. Wright was a law student at Fordham University and later became a judge on the New York State Supreme Court. Mrs. Wright was an educator and the principal of PS 197, located across the street from Riverton. Mrs. Wright recalls this day in the Riverton documentary, Down by the Riverside, sharing that she felt great joy and triumphant, especially since she had been personally turned away at Stuytown. Mr. and Mrs. Wright's story was featured in the New York Herald Tribune newspaper. Move-In Day also made headlines in other media outlets, including the Amsterdam News, the most prominent black newspaper in the country. Becoming a Rivertonian was a significant achievement. It symbolized upward mobility and hope for the black community. Clifford Alexander Sr., the founding member of Carver Federal Savings and former Harlem YMCA director, was appointed as Riverton's first resident manager. Alexander was notoriously known for setting high standards. He handpicked each of the first 1,200 Riverton families. The application process included a house visit to assess how prospective residents manage their household. In Alexander's interview with the New York Times, he shared that he was intentional about selecting residents who were responsible and intelligent. Alexander understood his divine assignment. He had to meticulously curate the model black middle-class community. He was also known for sending out mailers admonishing residents from littering and reminding them that it was important to maintain Riverton's position as second to none. Under his 17-year leadership, the complex proudly stood tall, clean, and safe. According to Doris Haywood, the first office manager, the success of Riverton spearheaded the metamorphosis of the neighborhood. It was also pivotal in demonstrating to MetLife, the City of New York, and the rest of the country that integration was for the benefit and not to the detriment of residential communities. Oasis, safe haven. These words are consistently used to describe what it felt like to live and raise children in Riverton. The playground was a gathering place. While the younger children played on the slides and monkey bars, the older ones played hopscotch, hot peas and butter, and hung out on the swings. The playground and basketball court were under the watchful eyes and strict rules of Mrs. Mildred Bell and Mrs. Cleo Gates, the recreation supervisors. Patricia Neely, who grew up in Riverton, recalls that the playground was truly the happiest years of her life. A plethora of pioneers lived in Riverton. David Dinkins, the first black mayor of New York City. Judge Constance Baker Motley, the first black woman to argue a case at the United States Supreme Court, and the first to serve as a federal judge. Dudley Glass, a Tuskegee Airman, and the first black fire chief of the Bronx. Rosetta Leonore, the actress most known for her role as Estelle Winslow on the ABC sitcom Family Matters. She was a strong advocate for racial equity in the theater industry and founded the Amos Theater. Basketball Hall of Famers William Pop Gates, William Dally King, and Clarence Puggy Bell, who all played for the legendary Harlem Wrens, the first black-owned professional basketball team in history. The list of notable residents who have contributed to this village is extensive and can fill history books. The most notable aspect of these individuals is that after spending their days fighting for equality in their respective professions, they came home to Riverton. They came home to serve as role models and share their gifts. Dinkins was one of the founders of 100 Black Men, which held its initial meetings in Riverton. Motley lived in Riverton while she worked on the landmark case, Brown versus the Board of Education. Glass was one of the founding troop leaders for Boy Scout Troop 163. Leonore supported the beauty pageants and theater events for the children. Gates, King, and Bell all mentored the youth on and off the basketball court. King served as the first recreation supervisor, while Bell served as the head of security for the 12 guards who zealously patrolled the grounds. He was remembered for keeping the kids on the straight and narrow. There are many role models, mother and father figures, and they're all accessible. Judge Wright would play football with the youth, and instead of calling penalties for holding or offsides, he would call penalties when the players didn't speak proper English. Raising Riverton kids felt like a shared responsibility. According to Dennis Neal, who grew up in Riverton, there was always someone looking out for you and giving you the 5-cent lecture on success. Today, the legacy of Riverton lives on through various streams, such as the Riverton Tenants Association, Scout Troop 163, Claude B. Govan, chapter of Tuskegee Airmen, the Honorable David and Joyce Dinkins Riverton Center, the Harlem Cultural Archives documentary, Down by the Riverside, and the professionally recorded songs, Middle of Harlem by Gregory Abbott, and We Had a Good Thing in the Riverton by Bill Waters. As Riverton heads towards its 100th year milestone, remember to respect and honor the space. Respect thy neighbor, respect the sacred land. Honor the blood of the Rivertonians who serve this country. Honor the sweat of those who pour their time and energy into this community, and honor the tears of those who fought tirelessly to bring Riverton to fruition. Riverton is historic grounds, and like the rivers, its legacy will run on forever. Before I get off my soapbox, I just want to thank everyone that worked behind me to make this happen. I stand here as one, but there was about 25 people that contributed to this, whether taking time to be interviewed, the scouts for passing out the brochures, Jackie and the RTA for their support, the Harlem Cultural Archives. It definitely was a village effort, and Miss Diane and I live in 45, and we just started talking about how the Riverton history should be preserved on the website, and that was almost a year ago, and we put our action behind words, and I say when we all come together, old school, new school, black and white, that we can make great things happen, because we're all one at the end of the day, and we can always create win-win situations. Thank you.
One second. Thank you.